My name is Prashanth and I live my hobby. I have a small collection and I'm an enthusiast, not a collector. I have a bunch of motorcycles and cars, about 3 to 4 dozens of them, which I work on, keep them going, and the real pleasure is to take them out for a spin, keep them running. That's really me. My name is Prashanth. I live in Bangalore. I am primarily an infrastructure professional from a profession standpoint, and by passion, I love automobiles and anything related to mechanical stuff. Over about 25 years, I have a collection, or I'm actually an enthusiast. I'm not really a collector, but I have a set of motorcycles and cars, about 3 to 4 dozens. My first motorcycle was a SD Road King. It took me quite a bit to convince my dad, and it was under complete controlled environment. I had it, I bought it used, and that was my first motorcycle, a SD Road King. But anything first on two wheels was a Luna moped, which also, I did a lot of things and went around, traveled around on that.
How many hours you spend?
So on a day-to-day basis, I think on the weekdays I have my day job. I really get no time to be spent. Saturdays and Sundays are spent only on this, right? Completely on to the motorcycles and the cars, be it cleaning them, fixing them. That's how the weekends are really spent. So I think I always had it within, but then, about 25 years back is when I was able to start off on my passion, if you may call it, getting my first old motorcycle, which was a Java. So anything on two wheels, for the family itself was considered like really dangerous. My dad didn't ride a motorcycle. He never got on anything two wheels. So the starting point always was four wheels. But anything two wheels, including a cycle, was considered like super dangerous. So I had no option to convince anyone to get that. But then my introduction to all of this was through some of my friends, neighbors, and of course in school. I studied in a missionary school, so the father, the rector, the principal, etc. They were really the introduction. I haven't really bought anything in the past probably 10 years. The idea is now to conserve whatever I have, make the best of them. As I said, I'm an enthusiast. The idea is to derive pleasure by keeping them running and getting them out and enjoying the joy of riding them. I've spent pretty much all my savings on this, and I continue to spend a significant amount of this is priority, right? So this is really priority at this point, and my wife till now has been very supportive, so not a problem. The first one is of course my Royal Enfield, which is really a 50 spec Royal Enfield, which has taken me around the country and beyond the country for about 250,000 kilometers. That's definitely number one. The bike is going to go to the grave with me. And the second one probably is my Beetle, because I really love the Beetle. It's very dear to me because I really wanted to have one, and I've gone through a lot of pain to really get this one and keep it going. And I think the third one probably is my race bike, which has really put me on the limelight, if you may call it that, and it's really unique. The kind of effort it's gone into, so the connect is much stronger. I really need to really get to a stage where I think I need to control the sprawl, right? Decide to keep, I think, one set of them, which I want to keep them in pristine shape. And as I said, I'm an enthusiast, get to use them regularly, right? Which then means I can't have too many, right? That's where I'm getting to, but it's not an immediate priority. It's going to go slowly. The idea is to save it or sort of protect it till the time I can really hold on to it. This is a Fiat from 1954. I've owned it for about 20 years, and the idea is to keep it as practical as possible than the originality bit, and keep it as a sort of a runner, which I can take it anywhere. So it's got better brakes, and we're trying to get it to a street racer or an old school street racer kind of a format and keep it going. That's really what's about this car. So this is my race bike. It's called the Flying Flea. The Flying Flea was the smallest motorcycle Royal Enfield ever made. So the idea was, why we called it that, or why I called it that, was to say this is a very small motorcycle, because there were other motorcycles or other Enfields which were built up faster and already in the race circuit. So this was called the Flying Flea. The tank is a very custom made tank out of metal. It basically has got pretty much a lot of things which has evolved as the racing. We started with a 4-speed, then we moved to a 5-speed, but moved the shifter this side. It's got a twin spark, basically 2 plugs with the decompressor in there, higher compression. It's got custom cams and alloy rims thanks to Bosser. It's got a son of Amal carburetor, and this was really something which was built with necessity. As I say, necessity is the mother of invention. So while everyone used to run races in a very different format with total loss ignition, that means they didn't have charging, but I really needed to have everything because I couldn't afford multiple batteries. So there's a charging system on it. There is a meter to show that it's all working fine. This is the ignition start stop switch, really, and everything is really made at home or built at home. The bike was built at home to ensure that the costs were very, very low, and it evolved over a period of time. It now is a mantelpiece, really, because we no longer race it. I no longer race, but then the memories with the motorcycle, and for the short period I raced, it was just wonderful. We had so many outings, successful. We broke the bike like so many times, but there's so much which is learned and accomplished with this bike. And every day when I get to see it and have my morning coffee, that's what keeps me going. So that's why it's in the drawing room. This is a 1964 Beetle. This is 4th of the Beetles I owned. Had it for about 15 years, and fairly original car. Came from Tanzania to India. It's got the full history. Has done about 74,000 miles till now. Still runs 6 volts electricals, which is probably very unique because you don't get batteries, etc. We managed to keep it going. And I think the best occasion was in 2017, and when we drove it down to Goa as a part of the Folks Weekend event. So from Bangalore to Goa and back, the old lady made it like perfectly fine and back. So I think the best moment of owning this car is really that trip. So we got a lot of relatively smaller cubic capacity bikes in here. They were very common, but now it's become so unique because most of them have sort of seen the test of time and probably scrapped, right? So the idea is to preserve some of them. All of them are smaller and unique motorcycles. So there's the race motorcycles from the Java factory, and then that is Bose Uncle's race motorcycle. This is an Ensign from 1956, 55 or 56. It's the first Royal Enfield 2-stroke engine, because Royal Enfield used to use a lot of Villiers engines. The first time they came out with a 2-stroke engine, very unique bike and in very, very original condition, very hard. I was very lucky to find it, owned it for about 15 years or maybe 20. This one I owned it, I think, for about 15 years, 56 Triumph Tiger Cup. It's a smaller cup, but this is a 200cc as opposed to the usual 175. So it's got a very, very unique piece of engineering where the crankshaft can come off without splitting the engine. So they made it so that you could replace cranks. It's got a slightly sloper kind of an engine. So very unique motorcycle, restored about 10 years back. There is a Motorbicane, which is the earlier to the Suvega, based on which the Suvega was built, and of course there were many more models which are built by a company in Tirupati. So there was but this is originally Motorbicane, a French 50cc, but very ahead of technology because it came with a Nicasol coated block, could rev much higher than all the other smaller motorcycles, right? And it could be used, it's a pedal cycle, you could shift between cycling and then also use the motor as an assist. So that's really unique. So Lambretta 48cc, Actually, under 50cc, the uniqueness of that is that when you reverse the pedal or pedal it backwards, that's the brake for the rear. That's the rear brake. It's got a gearbox as well, so you got gears so that you can shift, go on. And then that's a Bobby, which is pretty popular because of the movie. It's a Radut GTS. And that's just made to look very, very unique, small motorcycle, very compact, probably something which will do very, very well in today's as a runabout for the city. Today comes with the Radut 175cc engine. I always had fascination for unique motorcycles, and obviously including sidecars, which are very, very unique. So there were the older bikes with the wooden sidecars, etc. But I really wanted something newer, practical, etc. And this is one of them. And I ended up owning two, the continuous numbers, etc. So this is actually a sidecar made by a European company called Velorex. And it's 100 kilometers an hour rated sidecar. It's got a third wheel brake, just like how you align the car wheels, etc. You need to really align it, and then afterwards it's a breeze to ride. So this is from the 70s with a sidecar. This is from the 80s with a sidecar. So this is a 1961 Ambassador, came in black, been in the family, didn't inherit it really, but bought it. It's 18,000 miles till now, from 1963. Very nicely preserved, good runner, and was restored about 3-4 years back. Really, a sort of very, very original car, and runs very well.